Good morning.
Good morning.
Namaste.
Namaste.
I'm Abhijan Amanshi. I go by pronouns he, him.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm the Reverend Dana Edwards, and my pronouns are she and her. Welcome to Cedar Lane Unitarian Universalist Church. We gather from different places and different times, different spaces, different devices, in person and online, as a religious community united in our commitment to make love work in our lives and in our world. We explore the eternal, nurture community, and build a more just world. And we rehearse and embody beloved community within, among, and beyond this sanctuary.
It's such a beautiful day today, Dana.
It is beautiful.
It's gorgeous outside and nice and warm too. Kind of gets you up and going. Right. Wow, and it's so great to see so many of you here this morning. Thank you for being here. Whoever you are, whomever you love, wherever you are on life's journey and whatever your beliefs, race, gender identity, sexual orientation, disability, immigration, or documentation status, we welcome you here. Thank you for taking a chance and taking a risk to join us for worship today.
If you're new or feel new, you're invited to complete the newcomer form that's located in the chat if you're joining us online. And if you're here in person with us, we invite you to raise your hand so that we can give you a small gift of welcome.
All right.
Welcome to the many newcomers who are here today.
Welcome. We have quite a few newcomers this morning. We're so glad you're joining us. Let's give them a warm Cedar Lane welcome. And if you've been attending for a while and you're interested in joining this religious community, please reach out to Nicole Singer, our membership coordinator, who's here with us. Nicole will be able to answer any questions that you may have, and we would love to have you join this religious community.
Mm-hmm. We sure would. Our pastoral visitors are an extension of our ministry team, and they are here today in person and online. And we have a few announcements.
Well, and I want to say we have quite a few of our pastoral visitors here today. They all conspired to show up this morning. So may we just invite you to rise so we may recognize you. So thank you for your wonderful ministry. So if you have a pastoral issue,
we have place.
Yeah. Thank you. And yes, we do have a few announcements. So this coming Friday, Dana, on February 25th at 7:30, we're going to have an amazing experience.
Really?
That has been created, imagined, visioned, and created by one of our members, Allison Moses.
Amazing.
It's inspired by the 8th principle.
Okay.
Which, as you know, calls us to be engaged more intentionally in the work of building an anti-racist, anti-oppressive, beloved community.
Yep.
And this is called the number 8.
Oh, number 8 after the 8th principle.
That's correct.
I get it.
And it's a documentary which is actually a dialogue among 8 women.
Okay.
Speaking about anti-racism and multiculturalism.
Wow.
And we are going to be doing the first online premiere of this documentary, number 8.
Wow, that'll be amazing. So if people want to watch, they can save the link, is that right?
That's correct. And you will be getting more information in the e-news as well. And I think there'll also be an e-blast going out, so folks can stay tuned for those things. And we hope you will join us for the number 8.
And that's just one of the amazing offerings we have coming up this week, right? Or coming up soon. This week on Sunday, February 27th at 3 o'clock, we're partnering with our Potomac partners to celebrate the launch of our annual fund campaign, Abhi. And I am super excited about what we've been able to put together by using the resources of all three congregations.
Yes, indeed.
So, there's going to be a concert, and it's featuring Chris Matthews. But that's not all. Also, Emma's Revolution.
Yes.
So that would be pretty cool, right? That'd be a pretty amazing concert. And we're also adding in Peter Mayer.
Yes. So, how many of you have experienced all three musicians or have seen one or the other? Well, it's not an experience to be missed, and they are incredible. And the fact that all three of them will be live, sharing Zoom space together in itself is such an amazing treat as we kick off our annual fund campaigns at River Road, Fairfax, and Cedar Lane. Of course, in the morning, we're going to have a service,
Really?
a worship service. Yeah, we have to, right? Well,
Sunday
come on.
morning. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, that thing.
Yeah.
And we're going to welcome the Reverend Dr. Bill Sinkford, who will be sharing a special message. Yep, special message as we kick off our annual fund campaign. So please tune in next Sunday, February 27th. Each week at Cedar Lane, we have an opportunity to practice generosity through giving. We build this, our beloved community, together. The community that holds us so closely and weaves us together day after day, year after year, as we strive to make love work in our community and around the world. Now, this week, we are sharing our offering with the Bethesda African Cemetery Coalition, BACC, which was formed with a mission to protect and preserve the Moses African Cemetery, the burial site of over 500 enslaved and free people who were inhabitants of River Road in Bethesda. The cemetery lies under the parking lot of an apartment complex that was constructed by developers in the 1960s. After emancipation, the cemetery served the historic African River Road community in Bethesda, which was also wiped out by development, discriminatory developers, realtors, and county officials at that time. So the coalition and the Macedonia Baptist Church, along with partners in the community, including our siblings at River Road and Cedar Lane, have been fighting for years to have the land turned over to them so that they can create a memorial and a museum. A recent court victory has put on hold efforts by the Montgomery County Housing Opportunities Commission to sell the cemetery without consulting the descendants, the Macedonia Baptist Church community, and BACC. So today, our offering will go to support their ongoing efforts, not only in their struggle, but also to realize their vision of creating this museum and memorial. There are many ways you can give to support Cedar Lane. You can give by text, online giving, PayPal, QR code, mailing a check, or sharing your offering in the bronze bowl that's at the back of the sanctuary. However you choose to give, we are deeply grateful for your generosity and support.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And it is my pleasure this morning to welcome once again back to Cedar Lane my dear friends, the Reverend Dr. Kristen Harper and Fariduddin Fred Johnson, who are very familiar to Cedar Lane, having been part of our worship services many times. The Reverend Dr. Kristen Harper serves as the senior minister of the Unitarian Church of Barnstable, Massachusetts, where she has been serving for 20 years, one of the longest serving ministers of color in our Unitarian Universalist movement. Kristen and I met at Meadville Lombard Theological School in Chicago in 1995, and she has been my friend, colleague, mentor, and teacher all these years. A lifelong UU, Kristen has been a prophetic leader in lovingly challenging us as a movement to live more fully into the premise and promise of being a multicultural, multiracial faith. Kristen's book of poetry and prayers, a powerful reflection on the divine darkness, the darkness divine, a loving challenge to my faith, informs and inspires our service today. Fariduddin Fred Johnson serves as artist in residence at the Strass Center for the Performing Arts in Tampa, Florida. Fred has spent over 25 years offering programs and leading spiritual retreats using the power of creative expression as a tool for well-being and healing in the US, Europe, and the Middle East. In recent years, Fred and I have been collaborating bi-weekly to offer Quiet Callings, a Vespers experience that we have been showing on our YouTube channel Wednesday evenings, which you can watch this coming Wednesday. I'm so glad that Kristen and Fred are joining us today. We had a wonderfully inspiring and moving session last week when we recorded a good portion of today's service. So we're going to be on this journey together. So as we center ourselves for this time of reflection and renewal, we remind ourselves that
we gather today as we've gathered for over 70 years on the traditional land of the Nacotchtank people, from which the name Anacostia is derived. They're a part of the Piscataway group of tribes. We honor with gratitude the land itself and the people who have protected it throughout the generations.
we gather in remembrance of those who were enslaved and worked this land without choice or reward.
We gather in gratitude for all who have gone before us, whose love and labor helped create and sustain the mission and ministry of this religious community.
In this spirit, we gather. In this spirit, we begin. Let us now take a few moments to greet one another, both in person and in the chat.
Oh, darkness divine, sweet, beautiful, like the rich embrace of the night sky. Darkness divine, like sweet closed eyes, held by the warmth of the darkness. Darkness divine, darkness divine, like water of richness, like water of life. Darkness divine, beautiful, 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 beautiful. Darkness divine.
As Carolyn Brown and Tim Eastman come forward to kindle our chalice this morning, please share in the chat where you are lighting your chalice from today. We kindle the chalice, symbol of our faith and our gathered community. May we live this day compassionate of heart, clear of word, gracious in awareness, courageous in thought, and generous in love. May it be so. Thank you.
It begins with knowing your biases, your stereotypes, your assumptions, your judgments, and how to set them aside and receive the person who is in front of you. It begins with owning your power and privilege, your position and your comfort, and being willing to let go for another. It begins with noticing, truly looking at another. It begins with reaching out, taking that first move, making that first invitation. It begins with hello. It begins with curiosity. It begins with listening, not centering your lives, your accomplishments, your titles, but to whatever is shared, whatever is believed, whatever is meaningful, whatever might connect. It begins with attention. It begins with understanding. It begins with accompaniment. It begins with commitment to stay with, through the discomfort, the mistrust, the anger, the bridges, the barriers, to build trust. It begins with accepting the joy and the challenges. It begins a relationship, a friendship, a partnership. It begins with you.
I can hear change humming in its loudest, proudest song. I don't fear change coming, and so I sing along. I scream with the skies of red and blue streamers. I dream with the cries of tried and true dreamers. I'm a chant that rises and rings. There is hope where my chain sings. I'm a chant that rises and rings. There is hope where my chain sings. Though some don't understand it, those windmills of mysteries, I sing with all the planets and its hills of histories. I hum with 100 hearts, each of us lifting a hand. I use my strengths and my smarts take a knee to make a stand. I'm bright as the light each day brings. There is love where my chain sings. I'm bright as the light each day brings. There is love where my chain sings. I show others tolerance, though it might take some courage. I don't make a taller fence, but I fight to build a better bridge. I talk not only of distance from where and how we came. I also walk out differences to show we are the same. I am a movement that roars and sings. There's a wave where my change sings. Change sings where? There inside of me, because I'm the change that I want to see. As I grow, it grows like seeds. I am just what the world needs. I'm the voice where freedom rings. You're the love your bright heart brings. We are the waves starting to spring, for we are the change we sing. We're what the world is becoming, and we know it won't be long. We're all here change strumming. Won't you sing along? I'm the voice where freedom rings. You're the love your bright heart brings. We are the waves starting to spring, for we are the change we sing. We're what the world is becoming, and we know it won't be long. We all hear change drumming. Won't you sing along? Yes, won't you sing along?
Let us center ourselves, inviting our mind, body, and spirit into this space, made sacred by our presence and the presence of the Holy, in which we live, move, breathe, and have our being. We call upon all the sources of love that are within, among, and around us, as we gather once again in this sanctuary of caring across time and space, a center from which we may gather strength to face these challenges that we encounter in our lives with courage and hope, faith and love. In our time, we lift up those in our community and beyond who are living through significant passages, the small and extraordinary milestones of life. Within our Cedar Lane community, we mourn the loss of longtime member Earlene Green on February 15th. We hold in our hearts her beloved partner, Andy Strike, in this time. Our caring extends beyond Cedar Lane to others whose lives are lost and whose lives are impacted by violence, calamities, and the COVID-19 pandemic in our nation and in our world. Let us hold these friends of ours, our companions in the world, and all the joys and sorrows that we continue to hold in our hearts in prayer, meditation, and silence.
Love is my shepherd, I shall not want. Love embraces all of me in her green pastures. Love cradles me in her still waters. Love restores my soul. Love compels me towards justice for the world's sake. Even though I walk through life with death ever before me, I fear it not. For I walk not alone, love is with me. Her deep roots and dark wings, they comfort me. Love brings me to the table in the presence of those with whom I am at discord. Her rich brown hands bless me with the oil of compassion. My heart overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the arms of love my whole life long. Amen. Amen.
I invite you now to continue in the spirit of prayer and meditation and close your eyes and rest in the nourishing darkness. And as the darkness within holds you, carries you, envelopes you, give yourself permission to let go into this silent space of blackness. Let your body float into this great unknown land, trusting that you are deeply supported by the earth, gently holding your body as you go into this space of rest and quietude. Rest your burdens for a while and feel the strength of Mother Earth well up through you. Let it flow upward from the ground into strength. Rest your mind in silence and find the stillness deep within you that will nourish and rejuvenate you. Rest your heart in the darkness and let the songs that you have never heard before pour into your ears. And with each breath, gently go deeper and deeper into this space, allowing the secrets of rest to slowly reveal themselves, silently repeating to yourself, I trust and let go. I trust and let go. And as you go deeper into this silence, those who are mourning a loss or marking the anniversary of the loss of a loved one are invited to rise in body and or in spirit to share their memory and to share their names in the chat.
Young, gifted, and black. Oh, what a lovely, precious dream. To be young, gifted, and black. Open your heart to what I mean. In the whole world, you know, there's a million boys and girls who are young, gifted, and black, and that's a fact. You are young, gifted, and black. We must begin to tell our young there's a world waiting for you. Yours is the quest that's just begun. When you're feeling real low, there's a great truth that you should know. When you're young, gifted, and black, your soul's intact. To be young, gifted, and black. Oh, how I've longed to know the truth. There are times when I look back and I am haunted by my youth. But my joy of today is that we can all be proud to say, to be
I too am beautiful. Look at me. I am black and you are white, but I too am beautiful. Look at my face, my hair, my clothes. They may be different, but aren't they worthy of your gaze? Look at my walk, the way my hips sway to the music in my soul, the way my proud neck tilts to the sun. Yes, look at me. Look at my darkness. It contains light and love, rebirth and growth. Look at my pain. No, don't turn away. Look at my experience. Yes, listen. Look at the way you see me. I am human. I have tears and fears. I have laughter and joy. Look at me and
Look
walk
into
with
her
me.
eyes.
I
Look and
too
truly
am beautiful.
see. Look into her eyes, please. Can you see? Oh, so beautiful. Oh, so powerful. Look, look and see. Pure, 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 pure richness history. Look and see. Beautiful.
In the beginning, there was darkness, a blackness that covered all, comprising the building blocks of creation, the nutrients and the nurture needed to birth the world. This dark womb held the light that released the heavens and played backdrop to the planets and stars adorning the universe. It formed the darkened earth from which all life emerged and where all life returns when our bodies take their final breath. It is the same darkness that shelters us from the unrelenting sun, that calls animals to a safe hibernation, that shelters the germinating seed and bulb. Darkness signals an end to the hectic chaos of our days and lulls us to sleep and revitalization so we can face the next challenge. There is a peace in darkness and mystery and the unknown. But if we can rest in its grace, cease fighting to control, diminish, or order it, we just might see the face of God. The UU minister Andrew Pakala wrote, quote, "In sightless night, terror draws near, nameless fears of talon and tube. Hopelessness yawns before us, an abyss. Alone and unknown in the gloom, longing for the dawn. O sacred flame, blaze forth wisdom brought to life. Guide us with the light of hope, the warmth of love, the beacon of purpose and meaning. Because we are all afraid of the dark, let there be light." Being afraid of the dark has some unintended consequences that impact the largest part of the world's population. As a Black woman, I constantly find myself cringing when religious people describe the dark night of their soul or talk about their dark mood or their fear and dislike of darkness. Too often, people of color are equated with the dark and treated accordingly as people of the dark continent. A few years ago, I was speaking with a candidate for our Unitarian Universalist ministry and noticed that she kept equating darkness with a time of wilderness, confusion, disconnection. I asked her what her theology of darkness was. She replied, the absence of God, sinfulness, despair. I replied, how do you suppose the Black and brown members of your congregation will receive your theology? When our connection to God is marked only by the language of light, and our connection to darkness is caught up with the language of sin, ignorance, wickedness, and evil, we contribute to the fear, dehumanization, and violence towards Black and brown people, and the fear and hatred of the dark. The etymology of the word dark can be found in the Old English word dork, which means without light, obscure, gloomy, sadless, cheerless, sinister, or wicked. From the time we are children, we are taught to fear the dark, that all the monsters and demons and evil come out or occur in the dark. But those who hurt others in the guise of monsters do so as much in the daylight as in the dark. The light does not hide war, famine, abuse, greed, torture, or drug abuse. Light does not hide sadness or depression, loneliness or despair. Darkness may even be a salve to the intensity of the light, a time when all masks can be removed, masks of makeup, masks of forced or fake happiness, masks of perfection. Why must my heart break at the setting of the sun when darkness comes with loving hands to draw me into sleep? Is not the blanket of night as warm as the morning rays? Are not the stars that fill the dark sky connecting me to the world of dreams and imagination? Without the blue blackness of night's expanse, I would not notice the planets burning. Without the glare of the light, I can finally see beyond the mask, beyond the robes that I think cover all imperfections. See the tears and tears and ragged scars buried that mark the truth hidden in the light. The light does not reveal more in me than the dark. The blazing fire in the sky does not allow me to speak more easily, to name my suffering more freely and bask in its flare. But in the dark, my tears can fall in relief. In the dark, my scars fade and I can sense healing. In the dark, I find freedom and can finally be brave.
Of the darkness, how can we know the grace of living without the darkness, without the nurture and embrace of the darkness? How can we be all we've been called to be without the embrace of the darkness, guiding us more deeply into possibility? The grace of the darkness, the freedom, knowing the fullness of the darkness can bring. How could we journey fully and completely without the darkness? No pure reality without the grace of the darkness. No full of our being without the grace of the sweet darkness.
Jackie James, former director of the Office of Worship and Diversity Resources and Affirmative Action Officer for the Unitarian Universalist Association, reminds us in her and the Reverend Dr. Mark Morrison Reed's edited anthology, Been in the Storm So Long, quote, "We shape language and we are shaped by it. In our culture, white is esteemed. It is heavenly, sunlight, clean, pure, immaculate, innocent, and beautiful. At the same time, black is evil, wicked, gloomy, depressing, angry, sullen. Ascribing negative and positive values to black and white enhances the institutionalization of this culture's racism," end quote. James went on to say, quote, "Let us acknowledge the negative connotations of light. Light can be blinding, bleaching, enervating. Conversely, we must acknowledge that darkness has a redemptive character, that in the darkness there is power and beauty. The dark nurtured and protected us before our birth. God resides in the depth of the darkness as in the light of sunbeams. The moon shines brighter surrounded by night, and life is secure in the black waters of the womb. As the night sky littered with stars demonstrates again and again, there is beauty in darkness and beauty in light. One no more brilliant than the other, one no more necessary than the other, one always complementing the other. Without the heated darkness of the universe splitting neutrons, electrons, and protons from atoms, life and light would never be. The task for us to recognize is to recognize God in both, to see the divine in the rich brown earth, the textured black walnut, as well as the white snow and the pale pink jellyfish, to see the sacred in the panther and the swan, to embrace the dignity of the Black Madonna as embodied in the Virgin Mary. The task for us today is to look at the multifaceted colors on the onyx and see the miraculous spectrum of color produced in the prism of a diamond. As a spiritual humanist, I believe that which we call God, the energetic force of love and creation, is within us and around us, connecting and empowering us as we move towards one another and through the world. While there are many definitions of theology, I lead with a theology rooted in relationship with one another, the earth, God, the spirit of life, all that is holy, and the higher good that can occur when we recognize and affirm our interdependence. This relationship, both conscious and unconscious, impacts how we operate in the world, how we view and treat others, and how we respond to the injustices in which we play a part. As a student of religion and race for many decades, I have been concerned about the consistent equating of darkness and blackness with negative qualities such as sin and despair. Our connection to the divine is deeply personal, a deeply personal driving force. Continuing to associate black and dark with evil or the absence of God has only contributed to the fear, dehumanization, and violence towards Black and brown people. A new relationship to darkness and blackness needs to begin with the divine potential of both. Divine blackness, it is into your embrace I fall to rest when the world seems too cruel to carry. Your ebony arms embrace and encircle my body, heavy with grief, trembling with fear, weary with hopelessness. I see my tears reflected in the lines of your brown face, ancient and timeless, warm and understanding. I feel your strong fingers on my curly brown head, cradling my brokenness, blessing me with a call to healing. You who sheltered Hagar and Ishmael, you who cried with each slave mother whose child was torn from her breast, breathe with your children. With each lash of the whip, held our hands as our bodies were violated again and again. You who shepherded Harriet and Frederick to freedom, you who sat with Rosa and walked through the angry white mobs with Charlene Hunter Galt. It is your strong feet that carry me forward when strength eludes me. It is your power I draw upon when feeling powerlessness. My Black goddess, you strip all my defenses, all my pretenses, and bear my naked soul to your radiant joy.
I'm sorry. Oh, divine blackness, it is into your embrace I fall. Into your embrace I fall to rest. When the world seems too cruel to carry, when the world seems so hard, oh, divine blackness, into your embrace I fall. Your ebony arms encircle my body, heavy with grief, trembling with fear, weary with hopelessness. Into your embrace, into your embrace I fall to rest. I see my tears reflected in the lines of your brown face, ancient and timeless, warm and understanding. I feel your strong fingers on my curly brown head. blackness. It is into your embrace I fall to rest and heal, to rest and heal.
For many people, Christian, theist, humanist, and atheist alike, the image of God and Jesus are white men. The majority of the world's population is brown, and the image of white saviors puts communities of color in a paternalistic relationship with the sacred. What would it mean if God were a woman, a person of color, or non-binary? Would women's bodies then be seen as temples of love and not just vessels for bearing children or objects for use and abuse? Would we be free to explore who we are and how we want to be in the world without being confined to rigid gender roles that trap us all in unattainable opposites? How would these identities change how we think and speak about God? Not only in our hearts, but in our public worship. What would this relationship feel like? What would it look like? Would God still be worshiped by billions and billions of people around the world? This is what it would feel like and look like to me if God were a Black woman. It was late summer. The air was still warm, but the cooling darkness was just settling upon me. I was sitting on the beach, listening to the waves and digging my toes into the heated sand when she sat down beside me. I was not frightened, but my soul began to vibrate, activated by the smell of earth and pine, misplaced where we were, and at the same time completely right and familiar. I looked at her round hips and stomach, her thick thighs and rich brown skin, and was drawn to the brilliant radiance of her night. There was no burning bushes, no disembodied voices, just a beautiful smile and ancient eyes that looked into mine knowingly. We sat for a while in companionship silence until I could no longer hold the intensity of the energy flowing to me. Will I see it end? I asked, knowing in an instant that she understood. The end of injustice, the end of war, the end of hatred, the end of the earth. Her voice came not from her mouth, but deep from within me, quiet and fierce, sad but resolved. No, she said. The response I had known but was dreading. I was silent for a while, struggling with my sadness and disappointment until she gently affirmed, "But you already knew that." Yes, I thought to myself, I already knew that. It is not what I wanted for you, for any of you, she said. And in frustration and anger, I replied, then why must it be so? What did we do? She remained silent as my anger swirled around me, and then she told me to breathe. You do what you want, she said. You do what you think you must. You divide and order. You demonize and scapegoat. You take and destroy. You made us this way, I retorted, expecting her to deny, to explain evolution, to excuse free will. Yes, she replied, I did. I sat there digesting her honesty, seeing the deep lines in her face, reflecting the sorrow of centuries of watching her creations deconstruct the once magnificence of her dreams. I had to ask, is there another life, another place that is easier, that is filled with joy and happiness? Will we find peace in death? She did not answer my question. Instead, she replied, is not love heaven? Is not the grasp of a baby's hand joy? Is there not peace in the quiet of the forest, in the arms of your friends, in the stars twinkling at night? Spread compassion, build caring communities, cross barriers, tear down prisons, lay on this precious earth. Do not let your fears divide you from any being. Heaven is not easy. It is not found in death. Breathe, she said again, and took my hands in her large, rough ones, and the freneticness of energy between us dissipated. She smiled again, and I felt it swell from deep within me, and I knew my worth.
Sedet kuleyain. I breathe with you. I breathe with you. Can you feel and imagine my dream? Sedet kuleyain. The pure essence of the breath of life from the sweet darkness of the womb we all come. So may we remember as we breathe together the nurturing darkness of that womb. Sedet kuleyain. I breathe with you. Can you see me, the fullness of my being? I see you and reach forth my dark hand. For as sure as breath is life itself, come embrace the darkness. Yes, you can. For in truth, we are the children of creation, born from the blackness of beginning. So breathe and see me. Sedet kuleyain. May the divinity that abides within us here in the darkness of our inner gardens awaken our spirits to sing the song of joy, a joyful song of embracing darkness, the light of beginning darkness. And so I reach my hand to you, Sedet kuleyain, through the glorious light of each dark, beautiful night. I breathe with you.
In 1976, Robert B. Moore, author and member of the Council on Interracial Books for Children, Incorporated, in an essay published by Racism and Sexism Resource Center for Educators, wrote, quote, "An integral part of any culture is language. Language not only develops in conjunction with society's historical, economic, and political evolution, but also reflects that society's attitude and thinking. Language not only expresses ideas and concepts, but actually shapes thought. It is time we learn to appreciate the language of darkness, the language of blackness. Somehow we must learn to disentangle the dark and black from the negativity that they are encased within. So I ask you, what is your relationship to the dark, to blackness? What positive imagery is there in your mind for darkness and blackness? What words or phrases might you replace the words dark and black to describe your mood or experience? How might a positive understanding of black and dark deepen your relationship with the holy, with people you consider dark, black, or brown? How might embracing the night, embracing blackness, transform your life?
Holy, divine, dark and beautiful. Holy, divine, dark and beautiful. Holy, divine, dark and beautiful. Come, come, come as we celebrate darkness divine, black and beautiful. Holy, divine, black and beautiful. Come, come, a new song we sing. Darkness divine, embracing the beauty of the blackness, like the darkness of the beautiful night. Holy, holy, dark and beautiful, darkness divine. Joyfully we sing and celebrate. Holy, holy, dark and beautiful, darkness divine, dark and beautiful. Together we sing. Holy, holy, dark and beautiful. Holy, holy, darkness divine. Holy, holy, dark and beautiful. Together we sing. Holy, holy, dark and beautiful. Holy, holy, darkness divine. Holy, holy, dark and beautiful. Together we sing. Oh, together we sing. Holy, holy, darkness divine. Holy, holy, darkness divine.
I thank Kristen and Fred for this incredible gift that they brought and shared with us this morning, inviting us into that deeper journey, a journey deeper within, to engage in different ways of how we have all been conditioned into understanding light and dark, black and white. So I invite you to continue pondering some of the questions that Kristen raised about what positive imagery there is in your mind for darkness and blackness. What words or phrases might you replace? The words dark and black to describe any challenging moods or experiences that you may be having. And what might it mean to embrace the darkness divine within, among, and around us? So I invite you, friends, to ponder these questions. Some of these we invite you when you gather for the fellowship hour on Zoom to continue these conversations. And those of you who are here today in person, if you wish to please come together in small groups and reflect together. But now, I invite us to rise in body and or in spirit for lift every voice and sing. Let us rise together.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Why don't you sing a song? Sing the song. Sing the song that's taught us. Sing the song. Sing the song. Sing the song that's brought us. The rising sun of our new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won. Victory is won.
A dream worth waking to. I dream of freedom, an unbound life. One often does when your life isn't your own, when other people hold the chains, the keys to the locks, the end of the rope that binds your body, your spirit. It is not the work or the lash or the living conditions that take pieces of your soul. It is that eventually, if they're clever and you susceptible, they bind your mind. Your ability to distinguish their wants from your own diminishes, and your strength to resist their disdain fades, and your dreams of freedom, of flying untethered wherever your imagination can take you, dies in a pale, uncrossable desert without water or nourishment or hope? And how can you be free while carrying the dead of those who could not make the trek, who became sacrifices for your chance at safety and self-determination? How can you truly be free when the 40 years of wilderness stretches to 400? When the journey seems too long and the cost too high and your will too broken? Is it possible after all this time to throw down the chains of bondage, but remain bound by the silken threads of divine webbing? Is it possible after all the hate, all the hubris, all the wrenching pain, to let go of the reins, to shed the chains, to find freedom in one another? Impossible, yes. And yet, I think the only dream worth waking to.
Holy, divine, dark and beautiful. Holy, divine, dark and beautiful. Holy, divine, dark and beautiful. Come, come, come as we celebrate darkness divine, black and beautiful. Holy, divine, black and beautiful. Come, come, a new song we sing. Darkness divine, embracing the beauty of the blackness, like the darkness of the beautiful night. Holy, holy, dark and beautiful. Darkness divine. Joyfully we sing and celebrate. Holy, holy, dark and beautiful. Darkness divine, dark and beautiful. Together we sing. Holy, holy, dark and beautiful. Holy, holy, darkness divine. Holy, holy, dark and beautiful. Together we sing. Holy, holy, dark and beautiful. Holy, holy, darkness divine. Holy, holy, dark and beautiful. Together we sing. Oh, together we sing. Holy, holy, darkness divine. Holy, holy, darkness divine.